Evening or good afternoon to you all from wherever you are joining. And thank you for taking the time to join this session today. We have a very interesting session, and today we would like to talk about forest management and local leadership. These are the two focus areas of today's discussion. And we have an excellent group of panelists with us today. But before we start, we would like to have a presentation on a research that we very recently conducted in the Chittagong region. So, to our foreign friends, if you're not aware where Chittagong Hills region is, it's basically a southeastern territory of Bangladesh, and it is a very beautiful site, and a lot of indigenous communities live there in harmony and peace with the nature. So our research study was conducted in that region where we tried to see the impacts of climate change on their livelihood. So my colleague here, Ronok Jahan Khan Ronun, who also happens to be the research officer at the LLA program, the International Center for Climate Change and Development. He was one of the researchers uh, during the field study, and he led the team. So uh, without further ado, I think I would ask Ronun to share the presentation and share the findings of our research work. Thank you.
Hello everyone, very good morning from Bangladesh, and thank you Sarah for inviting me. I'll just take a little while to share my screen and let me know when my screen is visible. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so good morning everyone once again. So since you have already seen my screen that say that today's topic of our research is exploring village common forest, assessing the impacts of climate change. So people who doesn't have any idea what is village common forest. So I'm just giving a short introduction regarding village common forest. So village common forest actually you'll find in the Chittagong Hill Trust in Bangladesh. It's a very traditional way of managing forest. Uh, Previously, the people residing in Chittagong Hill Tracts, they start managing one patch of land of their area as a moja forest or reserve forest. It is also known as the parabon and Mojabon as well in Bengali. And later on, it has been terminalized as a village common forest. So that patch of forest actually traditionally managed by the indigenous community. And this is not a government land. This is not even a private land as well. It's a common land that the whole community, the whole villagers, they manage by themselves. Back then, they used to manage it for their needs because when they started feeling that the deforestation is going on and they were having that insecurity in their mind that at some point maybe there will be a lot of deforestation in the Chittagong Hill Tracts and they will have some sort of they will have they will not have resources, forest resources that they need for their livelihood, uh, for their any purposes. So they decided that we will be conserving a patch of land, a patch of forest to meet our needs in future. This is how they had started conserving the village common forest, and later on, there are lots of challenges coming up. And now, climate change is very visible in that area, and because of the climate change, there are lots of challenges is showing up. So now VCF management has been a prime concern in that area, like how they can way forward the VCF management. So when we our research team, we got to know about the village common forest. We got really excited that we wanted to explore that village common forest and how climate change is impacting in that area. So to meet our curiosity, we set research field in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. Initially, we did a recon survey where we went to in three districts of Chittagong hill tracks, Rangamati, Khagachuri, and Bandhabon. We met local people over there. We met practitioners over there. We met many NGOs and local leaders as well. And for the then we decided that we will be going only Rangamati because of the feasibility. We could not cover the three hill districts at a time. And finally, we went to the Rangamati with our team. We met people over there. We stayed there in a local level for more than 1 week in the local community, staying in the local premises. Um, so just before starting my presentation, like like how we did the research and what is our result, I wanted to show you one video that actually says the background of the research, what things drive us to do this research. Uh, so let's see the video and enjoy the video.
The indigenous people govern 11% of the world's forest and support 80% of global biodiversity. They also play a vital role in climate change mitigation by safeguarding the forest land.
We can't hear the audio.
Yeah, we are not hearing.
Oh, okay. Let me try once again.
I think we can play it from the beginning once the audio is set.
No, I can figure it out.
Okay.
I'm sorry for the.
By this time, well, surely you will have a lot of questions, dear attendees. If you have any sort of question, you can drop it in the chat box and we will read it out to our panelists or our presenters later on. Thank you.
Can you
The
hear the
indigenous
video now?
people govern 11% of the world's forest and support 80% of global biodiversity. They also play a vital role in climate change mitigation by safeguarding the forest lands and managing at least 17% of carbon stored in global forest lands. Around the world, indigenous communities have sustainably managed nature for generations in their territories of life, representing approximately 40% of the world's protected and ecologically intact landscapes. This is due to their deep spiritual and cultural ties to their land and their traditional knowledge of managing local ecosystems. Besides safeguarding the forest, the indigenous communities promote sustainable use of forest resources, reducing deforestation rate, and introducing climate-smart agricultural practices. Village common forest is a conservation practice led by indigenous communities living in remote areas of Bangladesh Chittagong Hill Tracts region. It is considered a sustainable forest management model serving different purposes from natural resource conservation to sustainable extraction and carbon sequestration to promoting nature-based solutions. VCFs also preserve freshwater sources and meet the community's economic, environmental, medicinal, and cultural needs. Studies found abundant rare flora and fauna species in the VCFs compared to government-owned reserve forests. Within an area of only 20 hectares, 148 flora species were identified in a VCF, indicating the richness of biodiversity. However, over the years, the population pressure combined with the overexploitation of natural resources, the introduction of alien species, personal greed, tenure insecurity, social exclusion, and the breakdown of the traditions within the indigenous communities threatened the existence of the VCFs. The impacts of climate change are now quite evident in the hill regions, which also excavates the social challenges. For instance, the water sources are being dried off due to prolonged arid conditions and deforestation. This impacts agricultural practices and biodiversity within as well as surrounding the VCFs.
So yeah, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So it also clearly shows the our background of our research. So for our research, we went to particularly in Rangamati Shodor Upazila. The union was Baguthala Union, and there we actually covered three VCFs: Shakurbanda VCFs, Tongchangrapara VCF, and Badalha Sora VCFs. So first, to get uh, the context, we held the FGD with the local community. So just to get the idea what is their perception regarding. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Don't
you're
hear
audible.
you,
Yes.
but
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Ranun.
So first,
Yeah.
to get the idea regarding like what is the context of the climate change in that area, we held an FGD with the local community, and we wanted to explore, we wanted to understand like how local communities is perceiving the climate change. I'm sorry for my voice. Pursuing the climate change. So we did one exercise in every FGD with the local community, like which is called Hedges calendar. So we wanted to see the first we wanted to see the every like the Hedges calendar, which has been changed for like uh for uh for 20 years. So in local community it was it was done in a local languages, then we have translated in English. So uh, since from January to December, how they're perceiving the changes in temperature, changes in rainfall, and the drought, landslide, storm, they came up with these hazards by themselves. So they significantly shows the increase in temperature in spanning in the last 2 decades, and the calendar also shows the data also show that temperature increase has increased a lot for last 20 years. Additionally, they highlighted that rainfall has decreased, and particularly they mentioned about the erratic rainfall. Like now there is rainfall, but where it was supposed to be happen, it's not happening on the same on that time. Maybe uh, and later on or previously. So the erratic rainfall, and also when it starts raining, it's rain for at least for a week. There is this sort of events as well. So local people are now experiencing these changes, and they know that this is happening, and this is the challenges for them to And also we asked the other hazards, like how hazards have been changed for past 20 years. So they say that the temperature, everyone, I'm sorry, uh, every participant agreed the temperature has increased. Uh, Also rainfall has decreased. Um, then drought has increased, landslide has increased, storm has decreased, and there is flood, which is also increased in this area. So these are the hazards are identified by the local community. They're experiencing these hazards lately. So we wanted to explore more about this hazard, like how these things are actually affecting their well-being. And they said the first they come up with this that affects their agriculture a lot, because the people living over there, they are mainly depend on the agriculture, and their agriculture is mainly rain-fed agriculture, so depend on rainfall a lot. Since a rainfall pattern is being changing day by day, and that's why their agriculture is being affected. So uh, uh, in our respondents, almost 91% 91% responded strongly agreed that climate change is affecting their agriculture, and other 9% is okay. We didn't get any data that where people disagree with this. Everyone is agree with it, and that's why since their livelihood is connected to with the agriculture, their livelihoods have been impacted. So we wanted to just look at this, how they're perceiving the changes in their livelihood. So they say that their past practice was June cultivation, which has decreased a lot. You can see in the graph. Their agricultural practice, the previously they used to practice less agriculture. Now they are more into agriculture compared to the June cultivation. And in some uh, places, they started doing the food gardens, and their forest resource dependency has decreased a lot because they used to use resources and extract resources from the forest, but now they cannot get resources from the forest since there are lots of rules and regulation imposed by the government and also by the government as well. Now, that's why their dependence on the VCFs has increased compared to the past practice, because since traditionally they use a lot of medicinal plants, bamboo shoots, and other things as a food, and mainly they collect bamboo from the forest for building the infrastructures. So when now since they cannot extract resources from the forest, they are kind of leaning towards the VCF resources. And also there is less livelihood diversity in that area because of the remoteness, and also they don't have a good communication system in that area. So the- compared to past, there is now a livelihood diversity a little bit, but still it's limited, and they feel like that they don't have enough option to choose livelihood. So for due to these hazards, the main thing came up with our discussion, that is the water scarcity, because the streams, the hilly streams are being dried up, and the stream, this is the main source of their drinking water. Since it is being dried up, so they have a really problem regarding the having fresh drinking water. And also uh, since the streams are being dried up, so it also affecting the biodiversity as well. They're they're they start losing their traditional food, like they used to catch from the streams, like fishes and snails and other along with snail and fish, there are other food as well they used to collect from the uh, streams. And along with the stream, there are lots of plants they used to use traditionally. So, and also these things is affecting since as I already mentioned that the agriculture was rain for agriculture. So water scarcity is affecting their agriculture. Another thing very interestingly we came across, that is since they have the water scarcity in that region, it's also affecting women's health and hygiene as well. The women are facing a lot of problem regarding their menstrual and also health as well. Another thing that the livelihood we were talking about, so they mentioned that the crop production has decreased in some places, like where they can produce like 70 RE is a local unit, and now they are producing like 50 RE because of the less rainfall and the other disasters as well. And the crop variety in decrease, I remembered the people from that area, they mentioned about the loss of crop they used to produce back then when they used to cultivate the June. In June, it was like there are a lot of varieties of crops they used to produce over there, but now they limited the production because they are finding out that this is not being profitable at all, because since there is a lot of challenges, the climatic challenges. So all so we draw a diagram for as a summary of our findings, that climate change, due to climate change there is water scarcity, and climate change is directly affecting the livelihood as well, and water scarcity also affecting the livelihood. So now we wanted to explore like these things, whether have any connection with disease management or not. And we actually found out that the water scarcity and livelihood they have the impact on the VCF management. And here you can see the another arrow that is coming from VCF management to water scarcity, because what VCF management also contributing in water conservation, because people now are actually getting the idea where there is a VCF, and they have the better watershed management over there, and they're having more water in the streams. So let's see how VCF management is being affected. So basically, first thing that is, which is very interesting, sorry, that one of the local leaders, we call they're called Karbari, that he explained, he actually shared that people's moral values is being decreasing day by day because of the climate change. How since climate change is affecting their well-being, their economic condition, and in the stress of the economic, in the being in the economic stress, they started doing the illegal things. They start losing their values. So yeah, so he was actually explaining to us like where we used to pilgrimage all the nature and the forest resources, and it's a very pure and like a sacred place for us. Now we started using it, extracting it, and doing illegal activities as well. So he said this is that was his like prime concern, that people are losing their moral values. And also due to the livelihood in the face of livelihood crisis, they're increasing uh, there is a significant increasing in dependency on forest for VCF resources like bamboo shoots and other medicinal plants, vegetables as well. Although it is not true for the every VCF, I think, because VCF management is very heterogeneous. We found out in one VCF where the management system is quite good and very robust. There is less extraction, but and another VCF, which is Longchung Para, we found out there is a lot of extraction. People go over there and collect accordingly for their family. And sometimes also people, if they have the really economic stress, they try to sell the bamboo shoots in the market as well. Other than illegal activities, there is also forest fire that we found out, which was one of the main concerns in Shagarbanda VCF. We heard that during June cultivation, normally people set fire in their land, so that fire also can destroy the uh, VCF, which is just next to their land. So in that case, they cannot protect the VCF. They're quite unable to protect the VCF from fire. So this is the major challenges that we found out from our research that is happening in that area. So uh, uh, just considering all of our research, what we found out and what actually also local people needs, they also tell us about it. They need the capacity building regarding uh, to build the understanding regarding climate change and climate related risks and uncertainties, so that they can take action proper accordingly. Because climate change is happening very fast, even though the scientists cannot combat the changes, they're not being able to track the changes. So local community, like local leaders and the VCF committees who are managing the VCF, they also need the understanding like how everything is changing and what should be done, and they need to have that idea and not the knowledge regarding the changes, and so that they can take proper steps accordingly. Another most important thing is monitoring. Suppose, since I have already mentioned that there was a forest fire in the area, so they were talking about making a like firewall and around the VCF, so that if there is fire outside of the VCF, so it doesn't affect the VCF area. So it needs labor, it needs money, it needs a proper monitoring system, and also to confront the illegal activities, they need proper monitoring system. That was also a main concern in the VCFs. So they need support in monitoring system to set up a robust monitoring system, and also funding mechanism, because the VCFs are the the management committee of VCF, they are doing it very voluntarily. So they need to have the funding mechanism that will help them to manage the forest effectively, so that if there is any intervention they need to take, uh, they can do it by themselves. So that was quite my pretty much presentation. Thank you very much for your patience and listening to me for a while. I will hand over to the Cyber Vibe. Please go ahead and stop sharing here.
Thank you, Ronald. Thank you, Ron. I think that was a very insightful presentation, and that actually covers the research that we conducted in the Chittagong Hill Tracts region. So, without further ado, I would like to interesting panelists. So, I will start off with Mr. Lapoi Ching Marma. He happens to be the CEO of a local organization from Chittagong Hill Tracts, more specifically from Thanchi Bandarban. So his organization, Community Resource Development Center, they work with the local community in terms of ecosystem and conservation, and also to some extent climate change uh, adaptation. So at this moment, I have some questions for Mr. Ching Marma. I feel he's going to uh, give us his expert opinion on this. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Ching Marma, for joining us in this session. So, as I have introduced you and you have been working with these local communities for a while, so my question to you would be, as a local CSO, what is your perception regarding the VCF management and what are the importance? So, if you could just give us your insights on this.
First of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here, Savio. And thank you, Ronan, for the presentation. It was really insightful, and I agreed all of the points actually. And I want to add something else with the presentation that Ronan gave. Before that, I want to I just saw Monglada as a panelist. I think Monglada is also a panelist, right? And I heard about him a lot from one of my friends. He's working at the Raja Devasith Roy's office, Uting Marma. He's also actually working with VCF, and he told me that Monglada is here and he's the expert in this field. He's going to, give us a lot of insights regarding VCF. So, as Sevio
Seeing you are frozen, Mr. Abu.
I think we are not hearing you.
Oh,
here.
Yeah.
yeah, now it's fine. Yeah.
I'm really sorry. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, I'm not an expert in this field. I'm just going to share my perception, as you said, and my opinion. So before sharing that my opinion, I just wanted to add with Ronan. Ronan was saying that change of just an addition, the change of economy and the lifestyle, as I have been experiencing as a member of indigenous communities from Chittagong Hill Tracts, I would say that the change of economy and lifestyle has also made us, the lifestyle that we used to lead in Chittagong Hill Tracts, as I recall from my childhood experience in the village where I used to live. I used to do also Jum cultivation with my parents. I used to go to Jum and to the forest to collect resources with my parents. But we used to have an abundance of forest in those times, like 10, 20 years ago. Even in 10, 20 years ago, in where I live in Tanchi, we used to have an abundance of forest actually, and we used to collect bamboos and trees, but we used to collect only the, only the amount that we used to need for our household. But now, because of the change of economy, and the change of economy means that, in our villages, we used to share among the villagers whatever we used to collect from the forest before. But now it's the sharing has decreased immensely because of the, I would say, the change of the economy. Now, people extract many natural resources, many kinds of natural resources from forests, from the choras or the water channels. They now sell it to the local market because they need money now. They need to send their children to good schools, good colleges. This tension has increased immensely now than, before. So that's one of my, observation, and I wanted to add this with Ronan's presentation. So regarding to the question that Savio said, my perception regarding the VCF management, VCF, as Ronan's, from the Ronan's presentation, what we have understood is that climate change is impacting in the Zoom cultivation, water resources, and in many other aspects of indigenous livelihoods. And because of the changes in the climate change, now the changes that we are seeing in the indigenous people's lives, is because of the, I didn't find, growing up, I didn't see, or we as villagers in our village, we didn't have any proper village common forest, but we used to have a forest that it's not owned by any, there was no personal ownership system. I didn't see any personal ownership system when I was growing up as a child. Now, as population is increasing in our areas, and people are from the Plain District, people are migrating there because of the population pressure and the government's forest policy. We don't have any more such forest where all the villagers can extract resources from the forest whenever they need. Now all the forest has become, under the personal ownership. Forests are now very limited. So if we don't initiate to create village common forest or to promote village common forest, then I think the value, the values that indigenous peoples used to hold will be lost. That's why I think that the management of the village common forest should be promoted in among all the youths as well, and also among the villagers. So I think in that, with that question, I think I don't have much opinion on this anymore. Can we go to the next question, Xavier?
Yes. So thank you for answering the first one. And now, if you remember, I was going through your work, and you kind of wrote an article where you talked about how local leadership, as you were speaking of, that the the VCFs are now being managed by ownership. And when we talk about ownership, the local communities are the owners, right? So how can the local leadership play a vital role in managing this forest resources? Because what we have seen from our research work and also from the presentation of Ronald, that the VCFs are very much heterogenic, and you don't get to see some similarities in all the VCFs. So what we have also found that the VCF that are properly managed by local leaders, or the youth are being engaged in this activity, those VCFs are in good shape. So this is my question to you: is how local leadership can play a vital role in managing this VCF or any other forest resources in Chittagong Tract.
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Xavier. So local leadership, yeah. As a youth, just I would give my opinion. As we are already working on a project, right? I mean, a EWC project where we are trying to revive a revive a river, a small river called Hanko River, which is at the Tonkabuti Union, where we're trying to promote local leadership. We will be engaging all the local youths, especially the youths from the communities. From the Hankro River is the communities who are dependent on the Hankro River are Mro community, and they there are now Mro indigenous students who are studying in different universities. We have already talked to them, and they are very much interested to work with us and to revive the river. So our plan is that to engage all the 3 villagers who are dependent on the river, because I was just the point that I'm trying to make is that there are a lot of NGOs who are working in Chittagong Hill Tracts, but regarding climate change and livelihood, different aspects of livelihood, but because of they're always facing the challenges of where local leadership with the point of local leadership. So if we fail to connect, if we fail to convince or motivate the local people to engage with all the initiatives that we take as a educated personals, we understand that there are what kinds of scientific interventions that we should take in the local areas. But local people are they should be the taking lead, and they should have a good message that if they take the leadership, if they take the ownership, only then any initiative that we take regarding village common forest or any other initiatives that we take is going to be successful. So one of the a few weeks back, we have been talking about introducing, or I don't know what should I call it, creating a village common forest, initiating a village common forest. Actually, we have been talking. A few of my friends were there, and also there were also circle chiefs. The Queen. she was also there. We have been talking about this, that there is a land that we found in Tanchi. It's the amount of land is 10 acres. And we have been thinking that we would get the land from the villagers. The villagers want to sell it. So we want to get the land. And also after that, we will give back the land to the villager with the proper documentation. We'll buy the land and we'll hand over the villagers. Villagers will own the land and they will manage the land. So what I think is that as a should be we should be, I mean, connecting with organizations like ICAD as we are trying to do it now, and ICAD is working with the local organizations like us. We are not registered, but we're trying to make small, it's a small, but we're trying to make small impacts in our local areas, which ICAD is trying to help us to make the impacts in the, I mean, regarding reviving river and also the village common forest. I would say that if the international level organizations, national level organizations work with the local NGOs or local youths directly with the throughout the implementation process, I think that whether it's a village common forest or whether it's, I mean, we work regarding water scarcity, it will be much more impactful. So that's it from my end for now. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Lato Ching, Marma, for your answers. And we also have a couple of questions in the chat box. I will read those out later. But you were rightly mentioning about leadership and more specifically on youth leadership. So that brings us, that actually relates to our second panelist we have today. We have Ms. Joy Chakma, who happens to be a youth engagement officer here at the International Center for Climate Change and Development. She was also part of the research team, and very recently uh, she she became the youth advisor to the GCA CEO. So that's indeed a very big achievement. So I will now ask Ms. Joy Chakma a few questions from a youth perspective, because as Ms. Joy, you have heard from Mr. Latoy Ching that how youths can be engaged in this sort of village forest management conservation activities. So that will be a simple question for you. Like, where do you see the role of the youth, especially indigenous youth, coming up from the local level and representing their culture and also, safeguarding and conserving this natural resources? So what is your take on this? Thank you.
Thank you, Sabir Bhai, for introducing me. And hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Joey Chakma, and currently I'm working as youth representative at ICAD and also working as CBS Youth Advisor GCA. And to answer the questions, why I believe that youth leadership is very important in CHD, especially for the indigenous communities. I believe that the indigenous communities youth leadership is very important because the climate change is a very long-term challenge that needs a very long-term solutions. So when it comes to youth, the youths have a very fresh perspective to really salute the problems. And they are, I believe that the youths are very technologically savvy and they can use their voices like using many kind of apps, such as like Instagram or like Facebook Reels. They can make the people aware about why these things are very crucial, especially in the Chittagong Hill Tracks, and they can use the hashtags and all. And I believe that the youths can actually make the most use of it, the technological kind of like a solutions and all, while addressing the challenges. And I believe that youth leadership should not be bind in not only in the capacity building, but also let them to lead while making the solutions. And I believe that youth leadership should not be confined only in like doing the fellowships and only doing the kind of like sort of like a training kind of way. They should be on the ground and also do kind of like a solutions and do kind of like a give the opinions to the solutions, and also sit down with the local leaders or with the local partners to that to express their beliefs, what they actually feel about the problems. I guess that's how I will conclude my answers.
Thank you very much, Ms. Joy. So now I would like to go to our third panelist.
Mr. Mongla Man, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, sorry for that. So Mr. Mong has been working with UNDP, more specifically with the VCF project, and he holds the expertise working at the local level and working directly in this VCF management. So if Mr. Mong, if you are here, can you speak more about yourself, about your work, and then I will ask you some questions that we have prepared for you. Mr. Mong, are you with us?
Yeah, thank you, Sabio, and thank you, Tulaching Mama, and also, Joy Chakma. Actually, the situation of the answering and the questions and the research is not a ending process. It should be a continuous process, because the problem regarding the BCFs, also the situation in CST, you cannot give solution within the time frame. It is a long continuous process. Should also record the action research type activities there. The following they address, properly addressed, because the BCF and the shifting cultivation quite different things. And also some research, the findings, I would like to run on to revise some things, because in the BCF management system, there is no allow to extract the resources, though some illegal things is going on. So thank you, Savio. So
Yes,
you may
I will
ask
have
questions.
yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for your insight, because I will just want to mention, I would like to mention something, that this research is kind of like a pilot study, and we have a plan, to revise the work. And as you have mentioned, this should be for a longitudinal process. It should be a longitudinal process, and that is what we are focusing on, because every time you see a research happens, and then after the work is conducted, or after the field work is conducted, we kind of come up with a report and we stop there. But this time, what we are doing from ECAT is, it's not about stopping on that research work only, but we are also providing the necessary support that came up from the local community, and also the recommendations that the local community have shared. So we would like to take that forward, and we are doing so. So our questions to you, Mr. Mong, as you have been working in this sector for some time. So how can the local government, and as well as practitioners, can address the existing challenges in VCF or other natural resource management in Chittagong Hill Tracts? So basically, the role of the practitioner in this regard.
Thank you, Savio, again. Actually, the challenges, my working experience from field level to the international level also. I also did MPhil from PhD, MPhil from Chittagong University regarding the BCF management or watershed management. I'm also still in studying to identify value the BCF services, BCF ecosystem services. So I'm also working on it since my student life. I'm also doing both things. I'm also doing research, also working also as a field worker. So that's why I'm suggesting that to do the continuum. And the challenges we are facing now, and the challenges we are addressing, there is numerous challenges. When you work with the land issues, especially in CST, there are so many stakeholders that try to prevent you not to work with this. As when you work with the BCF, working with the land issues, you may know within 1 week or 1 month who are the challengers, who are making you questions, and who are making troubles to go there. So there is no directly answers. So you have to go so many barriers. So that the present challenge we are addressing, taking some BCF network associations and also some government agencies. Actually, we are addressing the challenges with the collaborative management system. Not only the local community people, we are also taking help from the government agencies also. Because without one agency, you cannot do anything in CST. You have to work or approach with the collaborative management. So you cannot deny anyone, even a single person also. He may also help you, because the CST situation is much more complex rather than others. So you cannot neglect anyone when you're working with in CSTs. So you have to take all the communities, all the parties in your whatever in your box. So you can use to face the challenges what persons can help you. This is so I am saying you there is no direct answers. So there is so many diversities. So if you want to say fast, so you have to give the political commitment. If there is no political commitment, you cannot do anything. You only work. You can work in so many projects, but you cannot get the results.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Monk, for answering that. It's indeed very complex process, because I have also seen a question from the chat box that it reflects, is climate change a major concern for local residents, or do they mention other concerns? Indeed, there are a lot of other concerns, but particularly for this research work, we try to concentrate more on the climate change aspects and how the temperature rise or irregular precipitation hampering the the rain-fed agricultural practices, because that is a dominating livelihood option that the Chittagong Hill Tracts region, the communities have. So, Mr. Mong, that brings me to the second question, because you see, you have been working as you are an expert in this field, and you've been working with the local communities for some time. So, how do you see, if I'm talking, if I'm just keeping other issues aside, how do you see the impacts of climate change, more specifically the temperature rise or the precipitation rate going down, is influencing the livelihood of the local communities, and then the local communities are becoming more dependable on the forest resources, and which is leading to unsustainable consumption practices. So, Mr. Mong, if you can answer that.
Yeah, there is first we have to go to the solution. First, we have to make it a zoning land use system. The climate change impact is major issues is in is the whatever uses the unsustainable land use practices. If we can make the zoning, what types of land use should be in what areas? This may be one kind of solutions. As second is that we have to the livelihood. We have to make the diversification livelihood activities. We cannot make depend only on the says that we have to involve the young communities in different capacity development activities, and also need to bring them in conservation activities also. We are experiencing that the young people do not interested to work with the nature conservations because there is no such type of facilities where they live in, and also they also do not giving they're also what can I say, they also not receiving their livelihood securities, also life securities also where they living. So they are trying to migrate the mainly in urban areas. If we cannot engage them, so we are facing we will face serious climate change problems also in villages. The second is that we have to need coordinate among the parties to implement the peace accord, because whatever we want to do in land, we have to think the ownership. If we have no ownership on the land, so why we do long-term activities there? There is the major issues. The devaluation of BCF is the major issue, is the recognition of the BCFs. And BCF is a small solution of the climate change issue, because where BCF, there is a natural forest systems. The climate combat only can do the natural forests. If we want to the March plantation program, it will not give the complete solution, because plantation program cannot give the whatever the natural forest giving the solutions. Plantation program cannot give the solutions, because when we go to the plantation programs, we will not give the emphasis to the native species. And impacting climate change is the major issues of the degradation of the forest coverage. So if we do only the monoplantation, the climate change issues cannot properly address. So we have to mindset. We have to need the mindset of the government agencies, especially the forest department, to do to avoid the monoplantations, and to think that re-establish the natural forces that we have. And it is only the single patches of the forest that natural forces remain in the BCFs. So we have to, again, I'm saying that we have to collaborative approach. We have to coordination with the all department and also with the community people. And first, that Hating properly said, engagement with the local community people. If we only engage the local community people, it will not give results. But we have to emphasize to give the decision-making process. And without taking the local community people and engaging in the decision-making process, whatever big or small project, whatever national or international, no project will be success. This is all, Savio, but I have so many answers, but I cannot say all the things there in open mood.
Yes. I absolutely get you, because when we were also doing the research at the field level, we came across a lot of challenges and a lot of concerning things came up, and then we couldn't include everything because we also were mentioning a strict criteria that everything that is related to climate change or uh, forest resource degradation should be considered. But you are absolutely right, and in fact, all our panelists they are right, because it is very complex. It is not only climate change, but then again, there are also some social and economic issues coming up in terms of land degradation, ownership, and so on. But I have a very interesting question here. I think this will go for Mr. Moang. I think one of our attendees asked, let me read out this question for you. So it is, I would like to know, young people are not interested in forest preservation, or is a huge communication gap between the elder and the younger generation? So this is a question for all our panelists, but as Mr. Mong you have mentioned about young people less interest in being involved, I think this is a question to you, and then maybe I will invite our rest of the panelists to add value to this. So, Mr. Mong, over to you. And if you want me, I can read out the question again.
Yeah, this is mainly because the facilities where in villages they cannot. The differences is the facilities is whatever facilities in urban areas there is no facilities the village areas. So the young people cannot live there, or some political issues they compelled to leave the villages. If they want to live in village, they cannot live there because the family members do not want to keep the young peoples at the villages due to our political situation in CST. This is one. There is so many issues, but this is the most one issues. I think.
Okay, no, you can continue.
Yeah. Second is the structures, the communication systems, and also the income generating activities. Too much limited in the village areas. So they also the modern technologies they are easily attacked for the young for the youth communities, youth peoples. We do not providing them in villages such of facilities. So this is the second issue, but because he have to do some things, or she has to do something in villages. Based on he can survive or he can live. This type of facility is not in our villages. This is the I think Joya can answer. Yeah. Hello, Joya. Are you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I think you can also answer this.
Okay.
This is related to more youth engagement and
Okay.
the question. If I want to, you can say in the chat box, but I can also read it.
Yeah.
I want to add as
Basically, talk
well.
about the
Okay. I will let the floor to Latwa Chingda, then I will add my comments. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Zaya. So, Monglada rightly mentioned about it. I think the question that Using asked is this is the main reason the communication gap, right? Between younger generation and elder generation. I don't think this is the main cause. The main cause is rightly mentioned by Monglada, as I already said, that it's the economy. The main challenge that Monglada mentioned, why it's monoplantation, right? It's mainly because the economic condition in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, that the indigenous people don't have access to mainstream economy. They cannot sell their whatever they produce. They don't get the reasonable price, right? Say, I have an example. One of my uncles, right? He produced a lot of gingers, and he wanted to break the what should I say? I just forgot the word. Syndicate. He wanted to break the syndicate and bring his productions to sell directly at Chittagong. He brought it once, and they allowed him to sell the gingers, and he benefited in that time, in the first time. But the second time, when he brought more than, maybe double or triple amount of gingers to Chittagong, and nobody bought anything from him. And because he had to hire transportation and it was a very expensive process, he couldn't even take back the gingers to his village, Tanchi. So it was a huge loss for him. So this, I mean, the access to mainstream economy, lack of access to mainstream economy, I won't say lack, it's completely, we are out of the mainstream economy, I would say. So this is the reason that also people are planting, I mean, the mono plantation is growing there. People need a lot of money because, as I said earlier in my, discussion, that there are a lot of social tensions as well. They need to send their kids to the good schools and colleges. They need more money than before. So people have become, the indigenous society have become also, oriented to the system that's all over the country, right? That's why before we used to have a lot of common forests. Now we don't have that. And as Ronan was presenting, right, the impact of the climate change in agriculture. The Zoom cultivation that we used to do, we didn't need that much of money before. Actually, when I was very young, we didn't need that much of money. We just did Zoom cultivation. We had enough of production from Zoom cultivation to continue the whole year. But now we don't have that as well. So, I mean, these are the reasons that people are converting their cultivation mechanism from Zoom cultivation to monoplantation, and for this reasons, land are being, I would say, misused. The quality of the soil is degrading because we need now, the indigenous people also need more money, and because to get into the system, so they need to change their production system, and you need to get a big, large yield production, right? So they're using chemical fertilizers as well. In this way, it's affecting soil and also water bodies as well. And the young people, as Monglada rightly mentioned, that why young people are not taking leadership, which they should have been taken, right? Why they're not doing it? Because there is no benefit of doing that. I mean, if they take the leadership to create, or to initiate more village common forest so that they're abundant of forest. But if they do that, they don't have any benefit. They don't have any economic benefit. They need to survive. So I would like to, connect here with, as Ronan was presenting, like funding mechanism. We need fund. The activity should be beneficiary for all the parties or for all the stakeholders. Like if we're doing a village common forest, it has to be sustainable in a way that it's, yes, environmentally very good. In terms of the climate change, it will have a positive impact. But what about the economy? How the youths are going to survive? So funding mechanisms has to be that way, that if the youth, indigenous people want to initiate a village common forest, if they want to introduce a agricultural system which will benefit which will not degrade that much of the soil and benefit local people, it will be viable and environmental friendly. So if we want to see that positive changes, we have to channel the economic resources as well, economic and also other resources. And to conclude my answer to that question, that the gap should be reduced, not only between young generation and elderly people, and also with the organizations who can bring fund, who has scientific knowledges and also capacity to channel funds. They should be working with the local youths directly, and it has to be followed up. All the initiative has to be followed for a long term. If it's just a project like for a year or 2 years, and it's after that there will be no follow up, then it's not going to work actually. So I think the gap should be reduced, as Using said, between the elderly and young generation, and also organizations, international organizations, national organizations, and local organizations should be working very closely. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Latho Ching. So, Ms. Joy, would you like to add some value to this?
Okay. Thank you for concluding the answers, Latwaching Dada and also Mongla sir. I would say that being accountable to the communities that we belong, that I belong to the Chakma community. Maybe it sounds very hypocritic right now because I have grown up in cities, and now I'm talking about why the youth leadership, indigenous youth leaders should be accountable to the like indigenous communities and all. But I think that being accountable to the community helps a lot. Like what have learned while doing the helping while the research with my team, with my ECAT team during the VCF Common Forest. I felt that I have lots of things to learn yet. I have so many things to learn from my elderlies, from my community lead, from my community younger community leaders and all, and community elders. I still have a lot way to go. I believe that the youth should be more open to learn more from the elderlies, and also let their belief not only let their beliefs more in words, not in words, also in actions. They should also follow up with the changes happening around the world. And I believe that, and what the Mongpa has mentioned, that what young minds are not, he kind of like mentioned that how can the indigenous style of forest preservation knowledge can be shared to the young modern generation without breaching the Gili community guidelines. I believe that the elders should come out from their circles also, and also let the younger generations to know that what can be done, and not only binding the knowledge among themselves, but also come out their shells, and to let us know that, let us, the city people, or the ones who are like leaving their villages and kind of like accustomed to the city lives and all, they should also make us know how we can help from our side, and also let the others know that what challenges we're facing in Chittagong Hill Tracts and all. And I don't know if I have answered the questions and all, but I believe that being accountable, and also talking to the elders, and also being open-minded to all the knowledges and all can be helpful while this making the communication gaps and all.
Thank you, Ms. Joy, for your opinion. So I think I can request Mr. Mong, if you have anything to add with Ms. Joy or Ms. Latwe Ching, you may do so.
Savio, just sorry for the disturbance. There's a
fine.
question. I think Joya just mentioned about it. Mongpa Bom has asked a question.
Okay, would you like
Please
to
address that
respond
here.
to that? Would you like to respond to that?
I think Monglada can respond to that first.
Okay, Mr. Mong, if you're here with us, there was another question in the chat box. It relates to uh, the style of forest preservation knowledge can be shared to the young modern generation without breaching the Hindi community guidelines, and also how the young people can be more, put into this conservation practices. Mr. Mong, can you respond to these two questions?
Yeah, I'll just try to answer this. Though the young generation are much more interested to live in urban, but some young generation still have the interest how to work with the natures and how to work and how to stay at the villages. So if we can share the knowledges, that means the knowledges we have. First, we have to do the documents, the knowledge we have, the indigenous knowledge we have. Then we can share with it. Not only the text versions. We have to with the pictures, because in CST, if you want to work, the language barrier is a serious problem. You cannot make easily communicate with the indigenous people with the text. If we can draw the pictures, the pictures can easily attract and easily understood way to all types of community people. So if we go with the text, because there is much more indigenous people do not even understand the Bengali. So how do we communicate with them? So we have to first document all the indigenous knowledge, irrespective all types of indigenous. Then we have to make in pictorial way. This may help them to deliver the knowledges. So if we can do the interested way. So I think the young people may interest on it. And second is the VCF communities, just outside of the track. The questions like is the why the VCF community conserve the VCFs if they do not get any benefit? This is a very serious questions. So if we go to the solutions, if we can make a system, payment system, the VCF that providing good economics, ecosystem services, we have to pay them. This type of may come as solutions. Otherwise, why we preserve these VCFs? Why we protect this VCF? We didn't get any benefit. This is also view.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mo, because I could recall to our study findings when you were talking about, and also the esteemed panelists that we had today. So many of the things actually came up in our research work as well. And you have rightly mentioned about the language barrier, because this is something we have also faced while we were conducting the research. Because you see, there are more than 13 indigenous communities living there, and then each of the communities have their very own dialect, and it is very hard to communicate. So I think photo voice and the photo story that you were talking about can be a very good methodology to use uh, while collecting this evidences and bringing it to light. And there is a lot to do, and we cannot actually cover everything in this small 1.5 hour session, and as this is a very complex process. But we would love to follow up on our work and also continue to support the local indigenous communities from Chittagong Hill Tracts region. And we did from ECAD, and we did some studies, and we wish to continue the work as well. And as you have mentioned about putting in the photo story or this research method, we will definitely consider that. And if there is no other question in the chat box, and if I think this would be the last call for all our attendees. If you have any other question to our panelists, you may do so, because we need to uh, wrap up the session in few minutes time. And I found that this entire discussion was very interesting because there were a lot of things that came out of our research. Now we get the expert opinion and we can consider that for our research work and support the local communities. So, uh, if there is no other question in the chat box, I would like to conclude today's session. And once again, I would like to thank all of you, all the esteemed panelists, Ms. La Toi Ching, Mr. La Toi Ching, Mr. Mong, and Ms. Joey, and also our colleague, the presenter of today's session, Mr. Ronald. Thank you for joining us. And also, last but not the least, the attendees for taking the time to join this session, and a big hats off to the Gobeshona team who are working behind and making this entire conference a big success. So I will conclude that, but before leaving, I think I could request all of our uh, panelists to come on camera so that we can capture a photo, if that is okay. All right. Thank you so much. Let me get a picture of us. Thank you. It's taken. And once again, thanks a lot for joining us. And if you have any sort of question or queries, if you want to know more about our work, about ECAD, and also, get to know about the work that the esteemed panelists are doing, and you want to get connected with them, you can drop us an email. You can visit our website. We have all the details there. So you can shoot us an email and we can connect you with all our partners and stakeholders. And thank you for joining us today. I will end there.